Okay. So today we are covering time management, but like Bethany said, she said she is the worst in her family about time management, and it's a running joke in the family. Well, I'm horrible at it. So for you guys to ask me to teach this is really stretching everything I've learned over the last, because I haven't always incorporated it, and I probably never will. There are two things that I want you to get out of this. So we played a game, I don't know, last semester about when there's a part of the lesson, that part of the talk that is one of the things that I want you to catch. So the two things I want you to catch is your plan is your tool, not your master, and you have to leave room for living in your life. So if you hear either of those, then you have to like make a noise or raise your hand, or because you're looking for those. I want you to take note of those as I talk. Okay. So I look at time management as a person who struggles with time management. Hey, here are notes. No, we did have this conversation. She said, I'm getting here on time no matter what for time management. Don't worry about it. So what I just said was, I'm probably the worst person to give a talk on time management. I'm late everywhere. I struggle with an awareness of time. And I used to look at that as this horrible deficit. Now, after raising multiple sets of kids, I don't. I look at it that I am able to be fully present in the moment that I'm in without the constraints of what other people like have on me, like think I should be doing, and so the person in front of me so completely exists mostly outside of time, and I have found that to be a tremendous asset to enjoying my life, to really loving the person that's in front of me, all of that, and has ended up being this incredible asset. Come on in.
Mrs. Grace, she has a migraine, and so I'm gonna
go help her.
Yeah.
Terrific. So if you struggle with time management, this is for you, because it's going to be a little bit different perspective than you suck. Why can't you be on time? First of all, we have to acknowledge the raging river of tasks that we have in front of us. As moms, as homeschool moms, we also have to want to break free from that. And those two things are primary. If either one of those things don't exist in your life, then this isn't for you. This talk isn't for you. At times our life feels like we've been plunged into a raging river, struggling to stay afloat and avoiding hazardous obstacles. Our course speeds us along and we're helpless to stop it. We feel like we just have to endure. An awareness rises when we give in to the domination of pressing expectations. We end up becoming beholden to time-sensitive tasks, scheduled engagements, and obligations. And our actions are guided solely by societal expectations and external demands. None of that is how our children live. None of that is what I believe how we're supposed to live our lives. That is living lives as slaves, and that's not how we're supposed to live. So the first step is choosing to break free. We have to break free of two things: from the image we have in our own heads of what our life is supposed to look like. And that's really hard. I find that the hardest of the two to break free from. The other one is what other people think our life should look like. Because you have to leave room for living in your life. That's right. So there's two things I want you to get out of this talk. It's leave room for living in your life, and your plan is your tool, not your master. So if I say it, you have to like Raise your hand or make a noise or.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I wonder why you stared at her.
Yep. Okay. So
She's losing it.
I am totally losing it. So the first tool I'm giving you of how to do this is called the Eisenhower Guide, or the Eisenhower, I called it the Eisenhower Task Table, because it has to be your decision. Now, the agonizing part is that you have to take time in the middle of insane busyness to make decisions about every part of your life. However, once you've done that, living on purpose becomes so much more enjoyable. Dwight Eisenhower said, "What's important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." So you've got 4 quadrants in your life. Most of us live by what's important and urgent. We spend all of our time there. Or we spend time in not urgent and not important. And that's flipped. What we need to focus on is where we spend all of our time and all of our focus is supposed to be not urgent, but important. If we spend most of our time there, that will take all of the things that are important and urgent and empty that quadrant of tasks. And that's what we want to do. We want our focus to be what's not urgent but is important, and we're going to schedule the things that are important and urgent so that they're not so urgent, so that we're not feeling under the gun and pressured. Then we want to delegate the things that are not important but urgent. Now, as moms of little kids, you don't have a lot of people to delegate to. But as we've talked in some of our other sessions, you can maybe hire someone in for some of those things, or do it with a friend to make it less unpleasant, or enlist the help even of some of your young children, or let your husband know this is a weak area of yours and could he help with this one thing. Now, he's doing his life too, so it's not like we can take all of the tasks on us and say, here, you do them all. And we do share the load, but he's going to have strengths and weaknesses too. And so I'm not saying don't do your job. I'm saying work smarter, not harder. And then we want to avoid the things that are time wasters. But we also really want things in our life that are life-giving. So even if it's a time waster, if it's something that's life-giving for you, then it needs to be in number 1. And you'll need to take time after this session and fill this out for yourself. I have things in mind. So what a focus is things that I want to plan for. Relationships are things I want to focus on. Planning how to make my life easier, and things that are life-giving go in number 1, not urgent but important. Under urgent but important, things that I want to schedule, things like my driver's license renewal dates, anything that's last-minute preparations, things that are in crisis. The kids break glass. Well, that's urgent and important, so I have to stop what I'm doing and attend to that. Things that are not important but urgent, things like interruptions. The doorbell rings, maybe the phone rings, maybe there's an Amazon sale you just have to get to. For some people, maybe their laundry is urgent but not that important. And then quadrant number 4, things to avoid are like social media or TV. If you enjoy social media, I do not think you should completely cut that out of your life. I think that you should set a timer and decide, make a conscious choice how much time you're going to put into that. And then that's all there is. All of your phones can do that. I have 1,000,001 timers on my phone because I need it. Mm-hmm. And so that helps me live in quadrant 1 as much as possible. So in quadrant 1, what I want you to get out of this is you are going to plan how to make your life easier. You are living in a raging river that feels like you could be swept away at any moment of all of these tasks and constraints. And I don't want you to live like that. I want you to be able to make your life easier. And we've had a lot of sessions about how to do that. This is where we plan those things out. Alrighty. We also, in the past, but I want to revisit, talked about there is no such thing as multiple priorities. It's not supposed to be plural. The original root word is priority. There can be one thing. And for each of your children, when you plan one thing that's most important for them, a goal that you want to accomplish for the year. So as a mom, you can plan for, I want to have more fun in my life, or I want to get more rest. It's pretty tough to do both. So you can have one thing. You can have multiple secondary priorities, but you can only have one priority, one major thing in your life that you're focusing on. For each of your children, you can only pick one thing that is their one priority, either for the year, maybe it's for the month, maybe it's this week. You can work on character issues, or you can really focus on math. Maybe for another child, it's going to be working on chores or spelling. In having one priority, you have to be able to be flexible and focused at the same time. This goes to executive functioning, like making decisions on the fly. You know, there are people that have either social or emotional struggles, and if they get interrupted with what they think they should be doing, they just can't switch gears. Well, we as moms, we really don't have that as a luxury to not be able to switch gears. And so we have to have flexibility in our priorities to be able to switch that. You can change to a different priority. You just, at one time, you just can't multitask. Even though, of course, we know that's part of the job is multitasking, but as much as we can, if we can focus in on what is our main priority, even if we're doing something else at that moment, then that's going to help us. Whatever is our main focus has to be our main focus, but we can change what our main priority is in any given moment. When glass breaks and I've got toddlers around, I got to tell you, that's my main priority there. It just switched. And that's super important for me to do, but I can't lose focus so that then I can't switch back to what our focus is supposed to be, or was previously. So you have to be able to assess what your new priority is and work on getting that done, because your plan is a tool, not your master. Woohoo! That's one of our major. All right. The next part we need to know under one priority is, what is age-appropriate expectations for a homeschool kid? Again, we want to make a study of our particular child. I can give you a general rule, and I will, but the most important thing is that person in front of you, not the image that you have in your head of the way it's supposed to be. We're living in reality here of, okay, here we are now. Now where do we go from here? But you have to know where you're at now. So maybe they need more large motor activities to be able to sit for 30 minutes and do their work. So my very general guide is for every grade level, they can do about an hour of seat work. So first grade can do about 1 hour, maybe not even all at the same time, maybe broken up over the course of the day. A fourth or fifth grader can do about 4 hours of seat work with breaks in there and other things that they might need food in the middle of all of that. For middle grades, for middle school, maybe around 5 hours. For high school, it's 6 hours, maybe not even all in one time, maybe at one time. Your high schooler can do that, but then it's plus. They might have homework that they have to do at the end of the day. but every homeschool is different in their priorities. Every child is different, and this is a general guide. You don't have a general child. Your child is going to have specific strengths and weaknesses that you're going to have to go with, because your plan is a tool, not your master. Woohoo! Okay, so you have to come to the planning meeting if you want the whole, because we're going to have another planning workshop this spring about how to plan. So, but I'm just going to give you high points of suggestions. You can do a teacher planner by hour, and I find that very helpful. However, my plan is my tool, not my master. So if you have it by hour and you don't fit into what your plan says, oh well, that was my general guide. Now I'm gonna reassess and say, well, this isn't working for today, and we're gonna go through it. You can have your student planner by hour. Maybe you don't have readers yet, or your kids can't follow a by hour. Maybe they take after their mom, like my kids take after me. And so maybe they need a student planner that is by task. Okay, we're gonna do math first. When you're done with math, then we're gonna do exercise, because they need a little movement after all that brain work. And then we're gonna do English. And so it's by task instead of by hour. Maybe they're not a reader yet, and you're gonna have it by pictures. Oh, first we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this. Maybe instead of a teacher planner, you're gonna have a poster of a week, and you have the days filled in on one side. Maybe you have the hours filled in, but then you have Post-it notes on each hour so you can take it off and put it back on of what changes throughout the week. Well, we have to throw out science this week because we're actually going on a science field trip, and that's gonna fill in where we were gonna do our science book. So we don't need to do science books this week, or whatever it is. And you can also have hooks. This helps me so much. As someone that struggles with time management, with being on time, having hooks in my day helps me fit in the most important things. Let's say math is the thing that we struggle with. Nobody likes it in our school. I don't even like it, let's pretend, because I'm not going to say that out loud for my children to hear me say. And I actually don't mind math, but but it's what we struggle to get done, and I never get it done. I am going to hang that on a hook of something we always get done. I am not going to let a day go by where I don't feed my child. Therefore, we are going to do math before, maybe after we have lunch. And so you hang it on a hook of something that happens every day. The baby is going to take a nap. I might not know when that's going to happen in my day, so I can't schedule it, but I can hang it on a hook. During the baby's nap, we are going to get this subject done with the big kids. Maybe that hook can change day to day. Maybe on Tuesdays, we're going to work on history after lunch. Maybe on Wednesdays, we're going to work on science after lunch, and it switches, and you do a little bit more like block scheduling. So, but hanging things on hooks that you really, really want to put into your class. I always struggled with art. I'm not very artsy. I'm not very artistic. I don't enjoy it, but I feel like it's something that my children need to have in their life, is something beautiful. And it makes a mess, and there's crap all over for us to clean up. So I struggle to fit that in. So I'm going to hang that on a hook. And we are going to do an art project before lunch, which means they have to clean up their mess if they want to eat lunch. So that's going to help them. That's going to help me delegate that, and that's going to help them be included in the teamwork, is to hang that on a hook of something they really want. They're hungry. Okay, let's clean up really fast so we can have lunch while I go get lunch ready. The other thing about leaving room for living in your life. Woohoo!
I'm like, what about it?
There is a rhythm. to our days. There is an ebb and flow like the ocean. Some people listen to ocean noises to relax and go to sleep. And that ebb and flow of our days as women, as mothers, as people in charge of other people's lives, we want to like fall in to that rhythm instead of fighting against it. And this is where making a study, not just of your children here, but of yourself too, comes into play. There is a natural rhythm to your days that only you know is going to work best. I know I am best first thing in the morning. So I have a very small prayer time for me because my mind is turned on and God gets all of me, whether it's the best of me or the not best of me. And so I'm not gonna, it sounds weird, but waste that brain space in prayer, because I'm gonna give that to my children, because I know God's happy with my time, even if it's in the middle of the day. And at about 2 o'clock hits, and I really struggle to stay awake. And so we've done a lot of school, my brain is wearing out, and that's when I really want to spend time with God. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use that quiet time in our home for meditation and reflection time with God. Something that's going to fill me up some more for my big push for the late afternoon and early evening. But first thing in the morning, I'm going to get my kids up. I'm going to have them do difficult subjects that I'm really turned on for, because that is the rhythm of my life, what's going to be best for me. Somebody else that's an evening person, that is not going to work for them. So you have to know yourself to really lean in to that rhythm. You do that with scheduling. You do that with when is it best to answer emails. You do that to when is it best to, if it's late at night and I get on my phone to scroll, I'm just not going to stop, and I'm not going to know when to go to sleep, because I'm not making good decisions at that point. I'm too tired. So I have to know that that's not a good time for me to be on my phone scrolling. So, but for somebody else, maybe that's their alone time when they finally get to think their own thoughts and catch up with friends and family. And so that's going to be a good time for them. So knowing yourself is going to be really important with this rhythm of life. And that's where task prioritization comes in ahead of time management. I'm not trying to conform myself to the clock. I'm trying to work my life in around my strong points, my weak points, my child's strong points, my child's weak areas. And so I need to know what those are for them. Does that make sense? Because we have to leave room for living in our life. All right, got that. All right. Following through is super important. So we've got our Eisenhower task table. We've made decisions about what our focus is going to be, where we're going to spend all of our time, and scheduling things that need scheduled, and avoiding some of the things that suck our lives, and spending a very, very small amount of time into things that aren't important and aren't urgent. If it's sometimes those things, though, if we ignore them too much, like let's say mail, then it's going to build up, and all of a sudden, oh, I missed that bill. That becomes important. So, and urgent, and oh, messed up that one. So the best plan is the one you will follow through with. It is not somebody else's idea of what your day, of what your time should look like. And coming from someone who knows, procrastinators are really good at hiding their procrastination from themselves. So, like, well, I'm not actually procrastinating doing the dishes. I'm spending time with my kids. That might be true. Maybe that does take the priority. Maybe that doesn't take the priority all afternoon long. Maybe there is a point when I could actually do dishes. And not that dishes is the task of the most important thing in my life, except that if I ignore things that I know need done, then I am slipping them into the category of urgent and immediate, and now I've become a slave again, instead of making conscious choices and living by my choices. But it cannot be somebody else's choices for your life. Now, that's not to say your husband doesn't get to get incorporated into your decisions of what needs done. We've already talked about, I make my bed not because I love making my bed. I think it's actually vile and a waste of my time to make my bed every morning. However, it's important to my husband, and I think loving my husband is important, so I'll do that for my husband. So under the best plan that you'll follow through with, you have to take control of your time. You can't let others make commitments on your behalf without your permission. This is super important. You would not let anyone, not your best friend, not your child, not your mother-in-law, reach into your bank account and empty it. So why are you going to answer the phone when it rings and you're doing school? That can wait. Why are you going to let your notifications get to decide when you're going to open your phone or not? That is your decision to make. Your time is just as valuable as your money is, maybe more so in some cases. So you have to take responsibility for your own time and your own choices. Do not let, it's stealing if you let someone else make that decision for you, unless you've given them that decision. But you've only given them that decision for this one moment in this one decision, not for every day that this friend calls over and over and over again, taking your time away from the choices that you're making. You can decide if you're going to call that person back and when. I'm not saying don't have intimate connections. I'm saying make decisions for yourself without guilt. You don't feel guilty about your bank account. Don't feel guilty about your time. And it's okay to say no. Continue to assess and reprioritize. You can't have multiple priorities, but your one priority can change in any given moment throughout the day. Make sure you're focused on the most important things. Sometimes talking to your child is more important than doing household chores. But priorities are not just tasks, they are also people and relationships. And innately, ladies, we know that as women. We are designed that our relationships are the most important thing. But by prioritizing, you'll be able to let go of the things that really aren't necessary, because your plan is your tool, not your master. Woohoo! Okay. No is not a dirty word. Everybody say no out loud.
No.
Now say it like you mean it.
No.
No. Sarah did a really good job. Come on. Bethany, say it like you mean it. No. There we go. Emily?
No.
No, you had a question at the end. Say it again.
No.
There we go. No is not a rejection of the person. It's just rejecting this particular request. And remember, your time is like your bank account. Somebody can ask you for your money, but it's your decision to decide if you're going to give it or not. You're being smart by not biting off more than you can chew. This person who's asking something of you, they don't know everything that's going on in your mind. They don't know everything that's going on in your heart. They don't know all the things that you have on your plate right now. So it's their decision. It's your decision what you say yes to and what you don't. And face it. If it's going to stress you out, if it's going to keep you from what's most important in your life, they wouldn't want you in that position of being stressed, losing sleep, being upset over to say yes to them. You wouldn't want them to do that to themselves if it's a request you've made of them. So saying no is not a dirty word. Or you can put it on the calendar far away if it's something you do, it's a girlfriend you do want to spend time with. Well, my days are really busy and then my evenings are filled with the needs of my family and having a little alone time, so I can't really do it this month or next month. Can we put that on the calendar when school's over? I say to my most intimate friends all the time, I can be friends when school's out. I say it all the time because it's the truth and it's my decision. And so I have a heck of a good time with my friends all summer long, all break long. I schedule my breaks to be able to have chunks of time with the people that I want in my life. I only allow the people in my life to have access of who I choose, and it's my choice. And so if they're in my life, it's because I've chosen to have them in my life. It's not because they've wiggled their way in. And so nobody feels guilty about the time that I give them because I've made that choice to give them that time. So just because you say no now doesn't mean it's no forever. Put it on the calendar far away. Make time your advocate. I have had to learn these phrases and they were so freeing. I'll get back with you. Let me check with my husband and I'll let you know. I'm gonna have to think about that and then I'll tell you. I don't say no when I'm busy. I don't say no. I don't say yes when I'm busy. I don't say yes when I'm stressed. I don't say no when I'm stressed because I'll say it really harshly and I don't mean it harshly to that person. I say, I'm gonna get back with you. And then and you ladies know, I've said it to multiple of you all the time. Can you send me a text of that request? And then I'll get back with you, because I'm not gonna answer that text until I have time to think about it, until then I have a record of what it is that I'm supposed to get back to. And I'm not, please God, not gonna lose it. It's not gonna fall through the cracks because I want to get back with that person. But if I've had an in-person conversation, then when I'm sitting with my calendar, I will not remember these in-person conversations. My mind just doesn't work like that and that's not even a deficit. I am fully present to the person that's in front of me. That is an asset in my life. God has placed that skill and ability in me that not everybody has. And so I can't look at that as a deficit. That is an asset. It just means I have to have a workaround. And my workaround is, can you email me that request? Can you text me that request? And that is gonna help me be able to say yes at the time when I choose. Be firm. Don't play girl games. Don't beat around the bush. Don't hem-haw around. That doesn't give respect to the person who's asking you the question, because chances are they're going to, even if it disappoints them, even if they wish it were different, they have to respect your no, because it's your choice. They don't get to decide for your life. That's yours. So just be straightforward and say no without beating around the bush. There are other ways. There's maybe 100 different ways to say no. And if you want to look them up in a thesaurus, be my guest. I'm a big fan of, I'm super sorry, I'm not able to right now. And that's what I say. I'm sure I've said it to you ladies. Don't give a reason. You don't owe someone the intimacies of what's going on in your life. They probably don't even want the laundry list of everything you have going on. It might even feel a little flaky to them, or like you're making up excuses. You know what's going on in your life and they don't need to know. I mean, your best friend, absolutely unload on them and let them know how stressed you are. But you don't have to reveal that I'm struggling with depression right now, and if I put one more thing on my plate, I'm going to collapse. They don't need to know that. You don't have to give a reason. I'm really struggling in my relationship with my husband right now, and it's taking all of my brain space, and I can't do that. I am super focused on the science fair right now, and this child really needs my attention, and so I can't take away my time from this child who, and I really hate science, and I can admit that to you right now because I've got this kid in front of me and I'm trying to help them realize that science isn't the worst thing in the world. So you don't have to give an excuse. Don't give a reason. Don't explain yourself. Just say no. And this helps you have brain space because you have to leave room for living in your own life. Hey, that was one of them. We're really not great at this game.
No, I just I agree. That's all I'm saying in my head. I'm like, oh, I'm just saying something like that.
Okay, does somebody have a time check for me? Okay, great. We have time to do time awareness with kids. Alrighty. When we teach our children time awareness, we are not teaching them to be slaves. We are teaching them about time. Time awareness means taking personal responsibility for time. Alrighty? Personal responsibility has several components, almost like a math problem. It's task completion, along with trying your best and time awareness. Alrighty? And we want all three of those to be included with time awareness. Because if they have time awareness and they leave their tasks half done, that doesn't do them any good. If that makes them a slave to the clock instead of task prioritization and personal responsibility. If they are going to rush, I had one kid, rush through every single job and do an awful job at every single one, that's not really time awareness. That's not taking personal responsibility. Doing their best has to be included in taking personal responsibility. And if they're really, really focused on the task and they're absolutely doing their best and a total perfectionist at it, but they lose all sense of time, also is not taking personal responsibility. All three have to be taught. What I just said, I really mean. This is not something innate in every person. This is almost not innate in any person. We have to teach it, and we want to teach it in a positive way. So we're going to reinforce, you did that one part really well. I see that you tried a little bit longer. Now tomorrow when you do your math, we're going to try it. We're going to try to do just a little bit better. So my kid that races through everything, that kid never, ever, ever got timed tests because everything was wrong. So you have to know your child. Make a study of your child. We're striving to give our kids time awareness. The clock is not to make them anxious or nervous. They're not a slave to the clock or someone else's agenda, even ours. Our goal is for them to learn personal responsibility. Now, at first that comes from the outside in, but we do not want them to feel like being, to have the audio running in their head of things we've said that now do them damage. So we don't want to say things like, you're always late. They're going to take on that identity and feel like I'm always late, and they're going to be sweating profusely every time they're walking in. And even if they're not the last person walking in, they'll still feel terrible about themselves, and that does them no good whatsoever. So a kid who hasn't learned time awareness is likely to take advantage of other people's time by their lack of personal responsibility and awareness of time. So we're going to teach them expectations, not our expectations of them. We're going to teach them from the outside in. We're going to show them this is how it's done, and then we're going to help them internalize that to make it their own. Okay? This is the goal. It's just like how we teach being good. It's, yes, don't hit your sister, but if your sister just punched you in the face and knocked out your tooth, push her away. to defend yourself, okay? There's extenuating circumstances then that we teach them how to internalize being good. We're going to do the same thing with time awareness. So we're going to do that as little kids. And they ask for it all the time. So what happens after my nap? Tell them. Have it on a chart on their door. This is what happens when we wake up. This is what happens when you first wake up in the morning, and I've got a toothbrush, brush your teeth, and a potty picture, go potty, and a shirt and pants. Pick out the clothes that I've laid out for you, or that you pick out for yourself, depending on what kind of a mom you are. And a bed, make your bed if that's important to your husband. And then bacon and eggs come down for breakfast. So they can go through and do those on their own, hopefully, eventually. And then you'll go through the list when they come down. Did you brush your teeth? Did you make your bed? Oh, I see that you're still in your underpants. You need to go get clothes on. So we're going to give them tools to help them be aware of personal responsibility and time. And we're going to call them, we're going to teach them what a number 8 looks like, or what a number 9 looks like, or what a number 10 looks like. It's 9 o'clock. It's time to start school. I need you down here, whether your bed's made or not. You'll have to do that during break time because we have to get school started. And maybe you're gonna if it's an analog clock, on the clock, you're going to put a big number 9, make that 9 bigger so they see when the little hand is heading towards the 9. I need to get my stuff done. If it's a digital clock in their bedroom, maybe you're going to have big numbers of when the clock says 900 or whatever it is, like a little sign above it, so that they know, that's my cue. There it is. I gotta go. And we're going to give them tools to help them be responsible, to take personal responsibility for their time. Daily to-do lists, whether in pictorial form or just written out. Timers on your phone. Maybe it's a timer on your phone for the kid. And maybe they have a particular song that they love. I had one kid that loved the Mambo song as sung by Sesame Street. Ay, 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 I love to do the Mambo. And so that Mambo song would be that kid's song. So my timer would go off and the Mambo song would go off, and they'd perk their head up because they loved that song anyway. And so that was going to draw their attention, and they'd come to me for the thing that they needed to do. Those bomb timers on the computer, they're like online and free. Oh my gosh, my kids love the bomb timers. Crazy about the bomb timers. We would do countdowns in our house for a 10-second tidy, and then I'd maybe extend out how long it took that 10 seconds so that they could get their stuff accomplished within the time frame that I said, because we want to set them up for success. So then they felt like they accomplished that. A kitchen timer, digital kitchen timer that you could set 3 different timers at the same time. That was my friend. Walmart for, I don't know, $12. My friend. And I would set it at 5 minutes for this one kid. I would put another kid in timeout for 2 minutes, and I'd set it for 30 minutes for another kid. And so that was super helpful for me. Help your children practice waiting. Make it a game. Okay, we're going to close our eyes, and I'm going to set the timer for 10 seconds. Can you keep your eyes closed for 10 seconds? Or, okay, we're going to have a contest and see if everybody can be quiet for 2 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna set the timer for 2 minutes, and here it is. I'm gonna set it up so you can see it. Keep doing what you're doing. But no, you talked. Okay, let's wait for the 2 minutes. So, and make it fun, make it a game. Teach them how to wait. Teach them how. One of the things I did was I sound so silly, but I had 4 little kids all at the same time, and I would make them stand behind the other child to wait their turn. And then when they got in front of me, when I was done working with that child, then they could go do their thing or go to the back of the line if they had another question. And then that next kid got my attention. So they knew it was coming. They could see it coming up. We do it with Christmas, where we have rings, construction paper rings, and we take off a ring every day before Christmas to see how many days are left before Christmas. Help your children learn how to wait. Teach them patience. This is not innate in every child, and so they have to learn. And you can make it fun. It's not a failure if you play the 2-minute quiet game, or the 5-minute wait your turn till mama's done game, or the wait your turn in line, and you've got a kid that's wiggly and playing with their hair and drops their pen and stabs themselves because they put their pencil in their mouth, which they're not supposed to do because that's very dangerous. And then they're crying, and it's not a failure. It's just practice. It's just a game. Making it a game helps you so that you're not setting yourself up for failure, because it's going to take those kids a long time to learn this stuff. And so you don't want to be frustrated with your kids for not rising to the occasion either. They're going to feel that frustration and feel like a failure. You want to set them up, for success. So make it a game. For elementary students, teach them how to estimate time. It sounds like a math skill. It's actually a personal responsibility skill. Before I started my next part of my lecture, I asked for a time check, because as I'm teaching, I get really involved in what I'm doing, and I kind of can't judge how long it's been. So I have things in place to help me. So help them. So how much time do you think we have left on the clock before this subject is done? Help them learn, make it just a part of your day of learning to estimate time. Once they can write, like I'm serious, once they can write 3 letters in one at once, give them their own student planner. Let them fill out their own planner. It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be legible. They have to have the practice of taking responsibility for themselves. You've got your teacher planner. You know the real plan. You also know if the baby wakes up from their nap early, all bets are off, and we're throwing our plan out the window and going to plan B. But let them have practice taking responsibility for themselves. And when they do learn to write, let them fill it out, because they need to learn that their plan is only a tool, not their master. Woohoo! They have to learn that too, and you are the one to teach it. Teach them how to plan for long-term projects. They start with the end goal in mind and work backwards in their plan to where they are today. And then you've taught them how to plan for long-term projects, of what the steps it's going to take to get there. And they can move forward with those steps. That is something that is taught, not caught. You have to teach them how. So give me a project that a kid would need.
The geography fair.
Okay, the geography fair. So we're going to end up with food that we're going to serve, and a poster board, and cue cards with stuff that they're going to say about it. So we know. So give them a picture of what they're going to end up with. Don't you just know it? They need to learn it. Then we're going to work backwards, and you're going to show them that they are going to have that they're going to have to do the food last. Okay? So we're just going to leave that till last. Moving back, continuing to move backwards in time until where we are today. They're also going to have several drawings of maps and headdresses and that they're going to look. So we're going to do that second to last. Then we're also going to have to do a report on what is entailed in that geography. And so we're going to work on that first. And then from that, we'll have the cue cards. So we're going to put that in there after that before we do all of our art projects. Or maybe we're going to do some of it in between each other. They're going to get tired of doing geography and they're going to need to do an art project for it. But you're going to lay that out for them. So then, now that's in their planner, or maybe you put it on a poster, however planning works for their brains, your brain, and then they're going to start forward. You are teaching them how to do this skill that some of us didn't learn until adulthood. This is a gift that you're giving your kids to actively teach them this stuff. Teach them how to set their one top priority. Ask them, what is your top priority for this upcoming school year? What is really important to you? What would you like to work on? Now, that is going to be secondary to you as a mom. They're your priority for them. However, you can definitely incorporate that. And then teach them how to reprioritize. You know, you had said field trips were your most important thing for the year, and we've been doing a field trip every week, but you seem really tired. Do you think maybe this is too much?